Embarrassing lowlights from WNBA All-Star Game has racked up over 2 million views. They are that bad.
The NBA All-Star highlights are incredible. Pulling up from near half court and almost hitting the rim. This lob almost turned into the greatest and only two-handed dunk in WNBA history. Crossing up defenders, lobbing the ball off the backboard, if only somebody was there to throw it down. The layup packages were insane. The double pump Heezy Yeet lay will be in highlight reels for years to come. Let's talk about the teamwork. The passing was marvelous. Sharing the ball, almost converting, unbelievable passes. A'ja Wilson is the MVP for a reason, clearly. How about the dribbling display and shot making? This jumper came oh so close to hitting the rim. This is where Angel Reese shines. She blows past all the defenders down the court, but is met at the rim by A'ja Wilson, blocking the shot without even jumping. Wemby is literally shaking in his boots. Even Reese knew she's about to be on posters with this one. She was so shocked she tripped over her own feet. What an athlete. Just bodying people down low for boards and the putbacks. This was truly a one-of-one event, folks.
Bad it was. Bloopies all over the place. A true disgrace to basketball. Basketball of all ages, from as young as 5 to the NBA, to the pros, to intramural, to a men's league, to adult league, to senior league. You name it. It was bad news bears. It was bad news bears.
Almost 20,000 fans packed the arena that night. Let that number sink in. It's the biggest crowd the WNBA All-Star Game has ever seen. People didn't just show up, they planned for this. Bought tickets months early, took days off, some even hopped on flights to Chicago just to be there for one single weekend. The whole point was simple: watch the league's brightest stars battle it out on the biggest stage they'd ever been given. Then the ball went up, and things took a turn nobody expected.
So this play about summed up the WNBA All-Star Game. Angel Reese, new pink hair, driving, sort of. A'ja Wilson standing there, arms kind of up, didn't even jump to do so, holds her hand over her mouth, sort of gasped. Two of them have a laugh about it, on the way back down the floor, and A'ja seems to be more apologizing. Perhaps Angel hits the floor, he helped her back up. That Miles Ehrlich took that video, and you know, it's I'm not saying that to take any shots at anybody specifically. It's just the effort in the All-Star Game, and this is not a WNBA exclusive thing. It's become a problem really across all sports, or I don't even know if you say problem. The WNBA players get no break, really, when you think about it. So you understand it to a certain extent, but you'd like to see a little bit more, just a bit more.
It didn't take long for people to notice something felt wrong. Just a few minutes in, and defense was basically nowhere to be found. Not a little soft, just gone. One fan put it in 5 blunt words on social media: no defense, complete trash. And that was one of the nicer reactions. By the third quarter, when it was clear this game was never turning into an actual contest, the comments online got a lot less polite.
Some of this game, and I have to be honest with you, it is boring. It is just boring. You can tell the players ain't playing for real. You can tell that they really ain't into it. And at this point, for the WNBA to already be kind of struggling with ratings, you would think that they would have made it their mission to go out there and put on for the fans. And unfortunately, we did not get that today. They're not putting on for the fans. Now, I am completely disappointed with all of this.
Final score, 129 to 122. Team Spoon edging out Team Coop. But edging out barely fits, because nobody was really fighting for the win. The whole night came down to one thing: who could chuck up more three-pointers with 0 hands in their face. Check the numbers. 225 shots went up total, and 127 of them, over half, were from deep. That's not an all-star game. That's a shooting drill with a scoreboard slapped on top, pretending to be real competition.
Really? Really? That's the effort we're getting? That's the effort y'all are gonna give the fans that paid nearly $400 for a ticket? That's the embarrassing, piss-poor effort y'all are going to give them in an all-star game. You know, at this game, cancel the all-star game. At this rate, cancel the all-star game, name people all-stars, mail them an award, and keep the regular season going. This is trash. This is straight-up trash. You know it's bad. And I knew during the live stream, shout out to everybody that joined for the live stream, I knew I wasn't tripping when I saw Caitlin Clark on the way to halftime call out the All-Stars for giving a trash performance and trash effort for the fans. This is disgusting. You would think they would learn better after the trash show they put on last year after running around talking about pay us what you owe. This was garbage.
You'd expect them to have learned something after last year's disaster. Remember all that pay us what we're owed noise? Turns out, nothing changed. It got worse, actually. Normally, even a defenseless game gives you something. A nasty dunk, a crossover that breaks someone's ankles, one moment worth watching twice. Not here. Just wide open jumper after wide open jumper, all starting to look the same by halftime. No signature play. Nothing sticking around in anyone's memory by Monday. Just threes, on repeat, off the same lazy defense all night long.
Racked up over 2 million views. They're that bad. The article starts out, "This was a hard watch." A video labeled as highlights from the 2026 WNBA All-Star Game is spreading for all the wrong reasons. The clip focuses on missed shots, turnovers, and awkward sequences instead of elite plays. It has already cleared 2 million views, and that was at 2:00 p.m. So I'm assuming by now we're nearing the 3 million mark if we haven't eclipsed.
19,000 fans in the building, a brand new attendance record. And by the end of the night, almost every single one of them wished they had stayed home. That is how bad this got. Let's talk about what actually happened at this year's WNBA All-Star Game, because calling it disappointing almost feels too soft. Inside all the noise, one thing kept coming up over and over. Players pulling 6- and 7-figure paychecks were putting on effort that looked like it belonged in a middle school scrimmage. Harsh to say out loud, sure, but go watch the tape yourself, possession by possession, and try to argue otherwise. You won't be able to. One thing that got brought up constantly online was almost funny if it wasn't so sad. The player everyone loves to say doesn't play defense was out there actually trying, while a huge chunk of the rest of the court looked like they forgot the game was being scored at all. That alone tells you everything about how far off the rails this event went. People weren't holding back either. One well-known voice online called it flat out one of the most embarrassing performances they had ever watched, and the reasoning was simple. This league hasn't made it yet. Not in the way these players seem to think. You don't get to coast and half-effort your way through a night when you've still got fans deciding whether or not to buy into what you're selling. The comparison to the NBA came up a lot too. Say what you want about the NBA All-Star Game, but at least that league keeps tweaking the format every single year, trying to make it watchable. The NBA already has the audience locked in. This league does not have that luxury yet, and treating a night like this as some sort of victory lap sent exactly the wrong message. And it wasn't just one angry rant somewhere on social media either. Entire threads broke out calling the whole event an uncompetitive mess. The final score ballooned into video game territory, well past the 120s in barely 40 minutes of real basketball. There were even gimmicky 4-point shot attempts thrown in just to manufacture some fake sense of stakes near the end. And here's the part that stings the most. When your own diehard fans, the ones who show up every single season no matter what, start calling your marquee event boring. That's not some outside hater problem anymore. That's a straight-up product problem. And it's one this league cannot just brush off as noise. Even one of the league's biggest stars looked visibly frustrated on camera during the broadcast, clearly annoyed that nobody around her seemed interested in playing an actual competitive game. And here's the frustrating part. It usually only takes a couple of players deciding to lock in for the whole tone of an all-star game to shift. We've literally seen it happen elsewhere. 1 or 2 stars start playing with force, and suddenly everyone else on the floor feels obligated to match that energy because, at the end of the day, everyone out there is a professional. That spark just never happened here. Now here's where the story gets even worse, because the damage didn't start on game night. It started the night before. The Friday event, the one meant to be the fun appetizer with skills contests and dunk exhibitions to hype everyone up for Saturday, already fell flat. People walked away from Friday unimpressed, which meant Saturday had zero room for error. It needed to save the entire weekend by itself. Instead, it piled on. And look, there's an argument to be made for players protecting themselves. Nobody wants to blow out a knee in a game that means nothing standings-wise, especially with a real season and a championship still on the line. That's fair. But flip it around to the fan side of this for a second. Tickets alone were running around $400 each. Add flights, hotels, food, the whole weekend experience, and you're easily looking at over $1,000 per person just to be there. Multiply that by 19,000 people in the seats. At the very least, give them a real game for their money. Instead of course correcting, the weekend somehow got worse. Now fans weren't dealing with one rough night. They were sitting through 2 nights in a row with almost zero entertainment value during the one weekend all year built specifically to be the league's biggest spotlight moment. A letdown like that hits completely different than some random quiet game in the middle of February. Which brings us to the one player who actually seemed to understand the moment. Before the weekend even started, she had already spoken publicly about wanting players to give fans a real product. That is not a small thing to say out loud, especially during a weekend where the unwritten rule has always been relax and have fun. And to her credit, she backed up the talk. She opened the scoring off a steal, hustled around the perimeter all night, drilled a deep logo 3, and finished with 17 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, and a steal, all while helping her team pull off the win. Afterward, she even called it a unique experience, since health issues had kept her out of real competitive minutes in previous All-Star appearances. She showed up wanting a real game. She played like she wanted a real game. And for stretches of that night, while everyone else jogged around her, she looked like the only one who actually read the room. She wasn't just playing hard either. She was vocally trying to rally her own teammates mid-game, telling them straight up that these fans paid real money, some in the thousands of dollars, to be in that building, and that they owed them something better than a walkthrough. But here's the hard truth. One player refusing to coast doesn't fix a night where almost everyone else treated defense as optional. When the numbers got broken down afterward, a small handful of players, including the game's MVP, earned strong grades. Most others did not walk away looking great once people actually studied the film. When your own broadcast partner ends up grading effort like a report card for students who skipped the homework, you already know the vibe was off, and viewers at home felt it just as much as anyone in the building. Step back and look at the full picture here. This was one of the most talked about All-Star games in recent memory, and not for a good reason. It happened in front of the biggest live crowd this event has ever drawn, broadcast to millions who had genuinely never watched a WNBA game before in their life. Highlight reels afterward weren't full of jaw-dropping plays. They were full of wide, open-air balls, uncontested threes clanking off the rim, and cross-court passes sailing untouched out of bounds while defenders stood and watched. And here's the truly ironic part. The broadcast pulled in over 3 million viewers, one of the most watched WNBA games ever recorded. Record crowd in the arena. Record numbers on television. This was, by a wide margin, the biggest audience this event has ever had. And instead of giving that massive new audience the best possible version of the product, a huge chunk of them got a game where more than half of all shot attempts came from nearly 30 feet away with a hand nowhere close to contesting it. One especially painful sequence went viral almost instantly. A player attempting a simple layup, and the defender guarding her didn't even bother jumping to challenge the shot, yet still somehow managed to alter it. That same player was seen jumping higher celebrating a teammate's highlight dunk moments later than she did on her own scoring attempt the entire game. That's the kind of clip that spreads everywhere within minutes, and it did. By the final buzzer, the internet had already turned the whole event into a running joke. Clips of wide-open shots and players casually jogging back on defense got stitched together and mocked across every platform imaginable, reaching people who don't even follow basketball. And that's the truly worrying part for anyone who actually wants this league to grow. This didn't go viral because of some incredible highlight. It went viral because it was bad, and bad content always spreads faster than good content ever does. Even in post-game interviews, when reporters pushed on the lack of defense, the answers were exactly what you'd expect from an "it's just exhibition, relax" mindset. Laughing it off, calling it fun, framing it as simply what All-Star Weekend is supposed to look like. In a normal year, under normal attention, maybe that answer works fine. Nobody expects playoff intensity from an exhibition. But when the spotlight is this massive, the margin for a lazy, defense-optional showcase shrinks dramatically, whether players want to acknowledge that pressure or not. And that's the real cost here. It's bigger than one rough night on a calendar. Every single first-time viewer who tuned in because of the record attendance or the online buzz walked away forming an opinion about this league. And that opinion doesn't just vanish when the broadcast ends. It follows the conversation forward into the next debate, the next comparison, the next argument about whether the product actually matches the hype surrounding it. One player clearly understood the assignment. A lot of others treated the single biggest stage this league has ever been given like a scrimmage nobody needed to sweat through. And once a story like that starts trending for all the wrong reasons, it becomes a whole lot harder to walk back than most people inside the league probably realize. So here's the real question worth sitting with. Was this just one bad night, or a warning sign the league can't afford to ignore twice? Drop your take in the comments. Hit that like button if you want more breakdowns like this, and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next.